A life of gambling always comes with risk. Hakari Kinji is a living legend, a prodigy, a delinquent, a senpai. The homie Kin-chan is one of the most powerful and sheer fun characters Gege has created thus far. Today we will be taking a deep dive into the gambler Hakari Kinji and his exploits and power so far in the series of Jujutsu Kaisen. I don't think I've ever seen the fanbase so passionate about a sorcerer other than popular characters like Gojo, Sukuna, Yuta, and the like. Hakari is the one who thrives off of this fever and the literal hype of life, and we fans can definitely feel Gege's raw emotion and hype level through Hakari and through the manga he has written. So to the best of my ability, I want to cover Hakari's character as well as his strength and power in Jujutsu Kaisen. So brothers, let's cut loose and discuss the overwhelming, the unstoppable fever of Hakari Kinji. Hakari is a character who has had so much hype since his inception in the series, well before his character was introduced, debuting way back in chapter 11. He was a lurking legend, and Gege truly delivered a peak character, someone who is not just hype, but is literally built off of hype, a true wild card. This delinquent third year is among one of the few senior students in the Jujutsu Technical College. He is Gojo Sensei's pupil and one of the most unorthodox and underrated sorcerers of this modern generation. Hakari is a student sorcerer who may have been scouted for his Jujutsu sense, but within the society itself, Hakari is the definition of a very self-absorbed teen. He is described as moody or a good-for-nothing. He is not a proper student at all and has a very eccentric, headstrong attitude toward his position as a sorcerer, clashing with the higher-ups often. He was just not cut out to really be under someone else's thumb, to be led by other people. Hakari even beat the hell out of a conservative when there was a disagreement during the 2017 Night of 100 Demons parade, resulting in Hakari's suspension from school. So if you kind of get the picture, Hakari is different. He was extremely ambitious in his desires and his goals, even in his own manifested technique. He was just too different, too modern, too complicated. So the society casted him aside because he was a handful. In Hakari's temporary suspension, he was really able to let loose. He was free at that point. Kinji has an intense fixation on the fever. He loves seeing the world get lost in their own hot, burning passion and desire. And Hakari uses that passion, that hype, and that fever to manipulate and influence others. And he's got his best friend Kirara by his side as they support Hakari and they both make their own plans. Hand in hand with the fever, Hakari is a gambler of life itself. Hakari wants to control the country of Japan's fever through his Ganchinko Fight Club, and him and Kirara run the club as bookies, completely absolving themselves from the society and violating Jujutsu regulation by not only publicly endorsing Jujutsu, but also working somewhat with curse users, or at least promoting them. If you notice Hakari's character as a whole, he acts primarily out of his own interests, for things that benefit him. What can he get out of it? Even with things that are relatively good, his fever burns brightest when he's helping people. So whether it's killing curses, fighting sorcerers, saving lives, he's gonna have to feel that fever burning bright. And I believe that is Hakari's greatest charm. In a way, it mirrors Aoi Todo's brother mindset. These two monsters are mentally untouchable, and just like Todo, Hakari is unyielding. He will see his actions through no matter what happens. I mean, what type of gambler does things half-ass anyway? Hakari is committed to his fever, and he loves it. So that reflects every aspect of his character, as well as his power. So now that we understand a little bit about Hakari's ambition and character, what about his power? Hakari Kinji's skills as a Jujutsu sorcerer are top tier. His fever is etched into his very soul, making him a very overwhelming presence. If you doubt Hakari, let me tell you, everyone at the school recognizes Hakari Kinji's strength as one of the most powerful students, along with Yuta, Okotsu. Everyone knows that they need him for the games, and it's undisputed that he is a vital asset for the sorcerer's strength, making Hakari an all-star player in the coin games right now. Yuta blatantly said, "When Hakari gets worked up, he's stronger than I am."
Stop the cap.
Given Yuta's incredible strength, that is very bold and respectable as an opinion, showing just how much Hakari is revered. And I'll get back to this claim later, but Hakari's power is something Gege introduced that is so uncommon and unorthodox, just out of nowhere, but it fits Hakari so well. In a very practical sense, Hakari is a sorcerer that has exceptional taijutsu mastery. He is very tight-knit, high fluidity, brutally powerful in his combat, using mostly his physical body with cursed energy to attack. His cursed energy in itself is described as serrated, sharp, and rough, having a property that makes it have an edge, so to speak. So when he hits, his blunt attacks have a very clear, sharp texture to them that always hurts. Given that he is one of the prodigies propped up by Gojo along with Yuta, Hakari seems to have an extraordinary amount of cursed energy and has an extremely solid baseline as a sorcerer. His strength is solid, his movement is refined, and his cursed energy reinforcement is top notch. He's almost like a better Toto in his base, no disrespect to my brother. But Hakari is also a very octane, refined fighter with very solid durability. He definitely carries a lot of finesse with his style, which complements his aggressive nature. Definitely a cut above what a grade 1 sorcerer is expected. Considering his curse technique, Hakari becomes borderline unstoppable because of how he manipulates it. However, in its simplest form, Hakari has a curse technique variation called Private Pure Love Train that manipulates probability and uses objects and themes manifested from a romance manga series. So far, he's only summoned train doors to attack Yuji, but these indicator attacks are primarily used in Hakari's greatest ability through a domain expansion. Explaining Hakari's domain can be very tricky given its deep depth. So today, I really will not be explaining it. I will only quickly summarize it for you brothers and highlight some important details from it as I discuss Hakari's true power and his potential, just to keep things nice and informative for y'all. But Hakari's technique in its ultimate form manifests a non-lethal domain expansion called Idle Death Gamble, activated with a Buddhist hand sign representing Benzai 10, one of the 7 gods of luck. This domain uses Private Pure Love Train as a theme for a pachinko machine. His whole domain is a pachinko themed game. It's gambling. It's easy to see why the society doesn't approve of Hakari's power, because it mixes old and new in a very complicated format. It'd be much more appropriate to say that this domain manipulates its own probability to the point where the pachinko game seems rigged. It's actually like a manifestation of Hakari's fever. Of course, there's still probability in this technique, and things will not always go in his favor. But when certain conditions are fulfilled, Hakari gets rewarded a jackpot. And this is where the insanity begins. Again, Hakari's domain is non-lethal, and it's like an ancient style barrier with set rules inside of the domain, granting the caster benefits. And the sure hit effect is only an explanation of the rules. But this domain activation is regarded as being faster than Mahito's 0.2 second domain, so the deployment of Hakari's barrier is near instantaneous, so it's rather useless to even counter this domain with something like a simple domain, since it's harmless and you'd probably want to know the rules anyway. However, when Hakari reaches a jackpot, he enters a mode that is exponentially strong. Jackpot Hakari receives a reward of infinite cursed energy and fully automatic reverse curse technique. Just as a byproduct of having so much raw cursed energy at his disposal, his body just follows suit, giving Hakari this cursed immortality state for 4 minutes and 11 seconds, the duration of the technique's theme song, Admiring You. So in this temporary state, he is effectively unkillable and has displayed some of the greatest reverse curse feats we have seen in the series, as his technique is fully automatic. Hakari himself does not possess the knowledge to perform reverse curse with this process itself, but his infinite cursed energy state uses the highest level of reverse curse passively. It can instantly heal torn limbs and fatal injuries. It automatically heals the head and the brain while it's being destroyed, and automatically heals complicated foreign toxins like chlorine gas, even when Hakari himself blacks out. This technique is completely automatic and literally is Hakari's crutch, as he can lean on it and not fear death. What makes Jackpot Hakari so impressive is that he faces off against Kashimo Hajime, who is portrayed to be one of the strongest Koen game players so far, and has a very lethal cursed energy based ability that blows completely past guard. Kashimo's lightning is not something that will be blocked or even dodged. Even if you can perceive the ability and even react to it, it will always hit, because he doesn't just shoot the lightning. It's a return stroke of feedback electricity. You'd be marked by his cursed energy, and the lightning tethers to you. There is no dodge or blocking it from what we've seen, and Hakari is constantly dealing with this monster for 15 plus minutes. Even with infinite cursed energy, this was still a gamble. Hakari's goal may not have been to kill Kashimo, but he still incurred great risk going back to back with him. Hakari's technique really showed just how genius his ability is, because his domain favors him. The probability into getting a jackpot greatly increases after his first win, and he continues to receive bonuses and get more stacked jackpots going on a roll. This is why he's so strong and how he was able to compete with Kashimo. Round after round, Hakari just keeps clutching jackpots, chaining them. Hakari is actually killable after the song ends and in his domain, because his jackpot cursed energy recedes, but even inside of his barrier, in base strength, he has contingency. If you notice, things do get kind of close inside of his barrier, but he still manages and has modes like increased probability, prompting consecutive effects that allow Hakari to reroll damage on himself, like he's breaking away from the past, like hits never happened. His domain flow is very obnoxious, and he can always reset it. Hakari knows this, and he takes advantage of his domain even when he himself can be killed. Everything in Hakari's domain situation is meant to strengthen his chances of a jackpot and keep the ball rolling. It mirrors a real-life pachinko machine, but Hakari manipulates it in a way where he can capitalize on his luck. Many people argue that Hakari has so much plot armor, or they want to downplay his feats, but Hakari himself said he uses skill to grab hold of luck. Certainly unorthodox, but he is a gambler through and through. So how strong is he really? Well, at the moment, it's already established that Hakari is one of the strongest students along with Yuta, and even stronger than Yuta when he's on a roll. So I personally put him over all the grade 1s and special grade 1s. I even favor him over the disaster curses, just being boasted by his peer Yuta. Yuta is that strong, so it's pretty nuts how Yuta gasses Hakari up in any sense. And Hakari had a very gnarly showcase with Kashimo and Charles. Hakari's Koen game debut was very impressive because he completely slammed Charles and had the time of his life with Kashimo. This battle was essentially Hakari's hardest fight, and he nearly died 5 times, and he still managed to clutch a win with his incredible skill and luck. What's very intriguing is that Hakari's goal was not to kill, but to win fight. And Kashimo, of course, didn't use his curse technique, but this wasn't a half measure fight at all. These two psychos went full tilt and fought hard. In fact, Hakari took on great risk going to this fight the way he did, but do not let anyone convince you otherwise. This fight was brutal, and many times Kashimo and Hakari went blow for blow. Kashimo is very potent and probably a tad bit better as a fighter, but Hakari more than matched that energy, especially with his jackpot mode. Immortality lets Hakari cut loose and express himself with zero fear. It's just a matter of whether him or his opponent are gonna last. So what about Yuta and some other panels expressing that Hakari is actually stronger than Yuta? Hakari and Yuta's power have some serious similarity, but has a decent gap in versatility and in practicality. Hakari is very physically inclined and has awesome reinforcement and incredible output, and Yuta has a weaker body but has the most cursed energy out of any sorcerer and compensates like it's nothing. They both have reverse curse technique that can even heal poison. However, Hakari's technique is automatic and Yuta's technique is more manual. There are benefits to both, since automatic with infinite cursed energy will make you unkillable temporarily, but Yuta actually knows reverse curse and can use it whenever. They both actually have a state of infinite cursed energy, since Yuta has a Rika, a spirit of endless energy, and Hakari has his jackpot reward. Both modes are finite with temporary time limits. However, Hakari can prompt this more than once using his domain. So they have a lot of similarities and are very top tier adversaries, but Yuta has tools Hakari does not have, along with the cursed spirit Rika. So Hakari may be stronger and even has a bit more leeway with his jackpot mode and his domain, but Yuta's techniques are second to Gojo, and he has a little bit more practicality in his fighting style and his use of Rika, cursed weapons, and cursed techniques. So in a Jujutsu sense, I would say Yuta is a better sorcerer in my opinion. Now, Jackpot Hakari is very absurd. This is why Yuta may state that he is stronger, because this immortality state could tangle with top tiers like Ishiguri, Uro, Kashimo, undoubtedly worthy of top 8. These characters kind of tip the scales of power because they preemptively come into the story with phenomenal power, cursed energy, reinforcement, output, fighting styles, techniques. Gege really made them very powerful to bully the weak in the competition. They came into the story at peak fighting condition, and Jackpot Hakari is definitely right there with them. I think it's very cool how Gege made Hakari and how his curse technique / domain clashes with Hakari's hoodlum-like intense aura. Of course, he needs to get that ball rolling and get his fever fired up, but Hakari in the right condition can pretty much match the strength of current Colon game players. He had an amazing showcase of technique and physical prowess that is of unusually high caliber for a modern era sorcerer, especially one that is likely grade 1 but can comfortably fight special grade human sorcerers. It's really clever the way Gege writes and portrays power in these fights because it's very grounded and realistic, but with insane elements like cursed techniques and cursed energy. So Hakari is super unique in his own way because he has a very grounded style with absurd durability when he enters his jackpot mode, making him like this unstoppable, immortal force. So he definitely had the power to just take complete command of his colony and do his part to earn 100 points on his side of things for the sorcerers. He for sure is a character that is a huge wild card in the story and is cut from a different cloth, but he's still a Jujutsu sorcerer and an ally, so whatever his future holds, his fever is burning bright, and our gambler Hakari Kinji is going to show the world of Jujutsu what his fever really means. Thank you awesome guys for watching this video. Hakari is an outstanding character. I feel kind of bad for glossing over his domain details, but as you guys already know, it's a very complicated and time-consuming thing. So thanks for checking out this analysis on Hakari. If you awesome brothers want to support the channel, please check out this video's affiliation with Fandomian. They actually have very cool and awesome anime and manga related merch, and they also have some insanely cool Jujutsu Kaisen clothes and apparel. So if that's something you brothers are interested in, please check out my links in the description box below and use my creator code ESU to get 10% off. So check it out, get some JJK drip. But I thank you guys for your support. There's some serious hype in the community right now with new trailers, new info coming out with Mappa's projects. So expect some mixed content in the future. We're almost at 4K subs now. So you guys are awesome, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.